Okay, I want to read this message to you that I talked about, what someone is doing, applying this in her own situation. So many of our actions are actually counterproductive, and even when it's apparent that we should take a step back, we go on. Love is not a sentence to foolishness. In fact, love requires us to be deliberate and firm. I've just broken up with a man that I love with all of me, and I know that he feels the same way too. But the red flags clearly show us that we have threats to our happiness together in the future. We've always overlooked certain things that we disagreed on, and we've just both continued to adjust because we want to remain together. And now he's taking a stance on an issue pertaining to child upbringing, and I can't help worrying about his core values. I voiced my disagreement and disappointment, but he's not changing his stance. I feel that whatever makes him think this way and express it is stemming from his outlook in life. I just can't push the thought off that many other things will spring from his outlook, which has made him decide that this is the right way to tackle an issue like this. I don't love him any less, but it's very important to me that I can look up to my man and trust him, even when I am not thinking straight myself. During our time apart, it will force us to think more on whether we really want to break up for good, or whether we will rethink our positions on such matters. And I think that this is a healthy thing. Of course, I miss him tremendously, and I'm definitely worried that he may meet someone else, but it's best that we have this time to really understand ourselves and to understand each other and the value of our relationship to both of us. There's no point holding on so as not to lose him and then ending up as enemies who are forced to remain with each other if still forced to break up afterwards. But through this time, I will remain open to speaking with him, continue loving him, and still be his best friend. I actually feel good about it despite my fears. I am glad that this doesn't have to mean completely cutting off from him. Why do more people not think like this? I'm so glad that I came across your videos telling us that it doesn't have to be a clean break. It never has to be a clean break. All we have to do is really consider whether there is something that is our deal breaker, and we can determine that we can still have the relationship without stopping loving the person. We can still stand on what we want when we know that it's the right thing and continue the relationship with them, just that it's now not a relationship where we're sure, where we're certain that we're together. And yes, I know that. And this is the thing that people fear the most, losing that person. I know that I am not losing him because I am not out of his life and he's not out of my life, and we're still together, except that we've taken a step back. And this gives us the opportunity for both of us to think over what we're both deciding, and then we can adjust our own thoughts by ourselves without having the other put pressure on us. I say that we've all been missing out on the opportunity of taking a step back and what it brings to a relationship. I am very happy to get this message. Honestly, that is the point, because what it tells me and what it should tell you is that what I've been saying all along is we don't have to fear that we're going to lose that person. We don't have to stop the relationship. All we have to do is be sure that we don't shrink ourselves. If something is important to us, we have to table it. We have to deal with it. And if it has to come to a point where we realize that we know that this is something that we can't live with, then we have to be serious about it. We have to be real about it. We can't pretend and push it over in the back burner. We can't live with it, and the other person believes that they can't live with the opposite of it. So right now, we find ourselves at something that's like a stalemate. And so taking a step back, if it's that serious, what she's done is that she's broken up with him. You heard her. She's broken up with him, the man that she loves with all of her. So it's not like maybe she doesn't really love him, and so this is just another thing that she has to think over. No, she said clearly that she loves him with all of her and that he feels the same way. But she realizes that this is going to be a difficult thing, a difficult situation for them in the future. And so now is the best time to tackle it. Because when these things come up later, is she ready to live? Is she ready to live with it? And she's decided that she's not. So now is the time to take the step. What makes people stop and not do this is because they're afraid that they don't want to lose this person. But she's understood what I've been saying. You don't step away completely. You don't make a clean break. You don't put them out of your life. Just because we have a disagreement. Even if we're not going to go on to continue the relationship, doesn't mean we put them out of our lives. See, we don't need to change. People come into our lives for different reasons. And if we allow things to play out, with time, we'll actually know. Because, sometimes people have gotten themselves into a relationship and then they ended up now becoming enemies. And now they're not even on speaking terms. Sometimes people come into our lives for a season. maybe to teach us a lesson, maybe to show us something about ourselves. And some of you would have experienced this. So everything doesn't have to go the way that you're thinking. If it comes to a point where this person eventually leaves your life because you took that step back, then it's good. Because it's not even better that you remain in this relationship and then you're forced to live in a way that you're not happy with. Right? We should get this into our minds. As long as you're not being unreasonable with what it is that you want. And you know what? What is even unreasonable? What is unreasonable to you may not be reasonable to, what is unreasonable to you may not be unreasonable to the other person. But what matters is that you've checked it thoroughly, and this is something that goes against your peace. So if you cannot find common ground on an issue, if you really, really have to lose that relationship for it, it's worth it. It's worth it. Otherwise, you're going to be living with, it's up to you to choose whether you want to live with that thing. And then when you make that choice, don't keep hammering it over their head. You make that choice, you live with that thing, and you know that you chose it. It's different from when you live with that thing and you keep on wanting them to do something different. You're not going to have peace that way. So you can't have your cake and eat it. You have to choose what it is that you want. This is adulting. It's not the easiest thing. There will always be challenges, and it's up to us to determine what is the opportunity cost of one thing over the other. We always have to determine what it is that will keep us up at night. And if we can remove what will keep us up at night, then we'll solve the problem. You can't always have your cake and eat it. It's a fact that we have to come to terms with. Anyway, so as I keep reminding you, you don't have to erase the relationship completely, right? So let's just stop putting our lives and our decisions in other people's hands. Think through what you want. And then you can think more clearly when you step back. Do not be conformed to the ways of the world, because the ways of the world will keep on encouraging you, will be telling you that there's a reason you broke up and that's how it should remain. No, every situation is peculiar. Your step back is not necessarily a breakup in the way that the world describes it. It's simply a step back, allowing you to have time to get clarity from both sides, allowing you both to think without the pressure of bowing to what the other person is saying. And that's how it should be. We don't want to be manipulating each other. We don't want to be controlling another person. Because every time that someone comes to a decision by themselves, they are more likely to value that decision and to see it through. Because now they have reasons backing it up. It's not just because someone was pressuring them or someone was complaining or someone doesn't like it. Or they've processed it themselves and now they have reason themselves. They're now seeing it in a new light. They're seeing it in a different way. And they have the conviction in themselves that this is the right way to deal with this situation. It gives us time to really think about things. But if it means that it's going to cost me this person, what do I really want? Because your position on this situation today is going to be the same when it comes up in the future. So there's no point delaying the battle. So now, before you make things permanent, is the time to make the decision. So that when you're taking that time apart, you're able to better think things through. Is this thing that I am doing, this thing that I'm deciding on, is it really worth losing this person over? And then you can make an adjustment by yourself. Then they can make that adjustment by themselves without you being the one putting pressure on them. Because the reason why it's counterproductive to put the pressure on them and to do it while you're with them is because we put pressure on people and people accept what they don't really want to accept. And then later on down the line, it comes up again, and this time, maybe you're already married. And they know that the first time that they changed their minds wasn't because they really wanted to change their mind. It wasn't because they were convinced about this thing. But when you allow people to have the time by themselves to think about that thing, then they will reason it through. They will have the time to actually process it. It's different from when someone else is telling them. So when you process things by yourself and you come to that conclusion, then you put your weight behind it. It becomes a completely different ball game. I hope that this brings clarity. So the fear that you're leaving them is no longer part of what we're dealing with here, because you don't have to exit their life. But sitting there and complaining, and you keep on complaining while you're there with them, it doesn't change anything. For instance, someone who speaks to you in a manner that is disrespectful, you keep on complaining about it. It doesn't change anything. But if you step away, it gives them the opportunity to think, to say, oh, I am not going to have this person in my life if I continue speaking this way. If I continue treating them this way. And now they have the time to think about it. And don't forget, things are happening in their life at the same time. There are things that are happening in their life where they want you to be part of it. They have celebrations, now they can't have you to be part of it. Maybe they're going to a special occasion and they want that special person with them, but now they can't have you. So they need to actually process. So because of the way that I've been treating this person with disrespect, because of the way that I've been speaking to this person with disrespect, now I lose access to them. I can't have them to be there with me on this special occasion. I can't have them to share this thing with. I can't have them to share this happy moment with. I can't have them to share this worrisome moment with. I can't have them to share this idea with. I can't have them when I'm going through something painful and I need someone to unburden myself to. I can't have them to go through experiences and memories with. I can't have them in my life. So now they actually have the space to think about your value in their life. It's highly essential that people see your value in their life. And if they're going through this exciting moments, this celebration, this pain, this new experience, and they don't even feel like they miss you being there, then it's better for you. Because you've heard of all those people when their person is having something, they don't even care for them to be there. How much more painful would it be that you're now stuck with this person who is happy to go along with life and all the things that they're doing in life, and they don't even care for you to be part of it? So now is the time when you step back, you give them that opportunity. It's always important that people have a chance to gauge your relevance in their life. Because without it, see, we create a lot of things. Without this gives us so much clarity, because without this, people will never actually even see your worth in their life. You are just there. You are there already. It's important that we give them the opportunity to see things differently when we're not there with them. Then they can really place a value on your relationship with them. Then they can determine if the value of what they're doing, treating you the way they're treating you, if that is actually what they would rather live with than the value of you, than the value that you bring into their life. Remember, you're still not completely permanently out of their life. You are there, but you are now not there as their person who has the obligation to be there for them when they're doing things, when they're going through things. So they get to see that clearly. Don't forget, people need to actually also know that you can decide to not live with them as part of your life. People need to know that. Because we all get into this comfortable place where we feel like, oh, they're there, they're not leaving, they're mine now, they're not going anywhere. So I encourage all of us to always have a network of people, because when you focus, especially people who are new to dating, when you focus on someone, I don't want you to come across someone and take that person and say, okay, this is us now. We have to think very strongly and strategically about exclusivity when it comes to dating. Exclusivity just means that, yes, we identify that this is my person and I am their person. But at the same time, if you live your life in a way where you don't have any other people in your life, people could really get comfortable with that. This person is stuck with me now. They're not going anywhere. So I don't want you listening to those people who bring up all those tactics where they say have someone else, have a plan B. You're not doing this because you want to have a plan B, or you're using tactics on someone. You're not trying to manipulate people. You're not trying to be disrespectful to people. But you cannot be stuck in a place where all you have is something that is toxic to you. And people need to know. People actually need to know that you are ready to step out and step away from them if they're not meeting up to standards. Nobody should be comfortable. They don't need to get comfortable to feel like you're ready to just accept anything from them. And that's why you keep your own standards high as well. So you behave in the best, most civilized way to other people. You treat other people great and you expect the same thing from them. It's not easy. It's not a walk in the park. That's why I say again that many of us are not right for relationships, because you have to remove the log from your own eyes. Are you maintaining those high standards that you're expecting from the next person? And that way then they know that this person is really high standards, and so they're not going to accept anything that's less. They have to always see it in your behavior. But if you start off by everything they do, you accept, and then you are the one adjusting all the time, now you're stuck in a wheel that will keep on spinning, and it will never change. But if in the past you've displayed that the moment you misbehave, I am stepping back, I'm stepping away from you, they know it. This becomes a part of your relationship. They understand it. It sinks into their psyche so that everybody knows that they have to be at their best behavior. Everybody has to bring their best foot. So this is important. Remember, I say people always are our enemy. Sometimes people do these things because they're just dealing with life in the best way that they know how. They have something that they've experienced in the past, and from there, they're now acting this way. Sometimes they've had an experience that has belittled them. And so subconsciously, they're now doing these things with you because they don't ever want to be seen in that light. You have to let them know, no, it's not happening here. I'm not doing that to you. Whatever you're going through. So, and that's why, again, you have to check people. You have to always qualify people before you get into the relationship with them. Because sometimes they don't even know that they're doing something wrong. Maybe someone who is being used to hanging with people who have low standards. And so they don't know that this is not the way to behave. They don't know that this is not the proper and acceptable and civilized way to behave. That's why you don't keep quiet. Don't always assume that people know what they're doing. Don't always assume that they're doing it to you deliberately. Don't always assume that because you've talked to them, they will understand. They may just be so used to such low quality that they don't even know that this is not the way to behave. And that is why you don't shrink yourself. That's why you have to call them out on it, because otherwise they don't know. Their minds might be thinking, why is he talking so much? Why is she talking so much? This is no big deal. No, you have to let them know that it's a big deal. They just simply don't know it. So it's a big deal, sir. It's a big deal, ma, but you don't know it. No, ma, no, sir. This is a big deal. You just simply don't know it. No, this is not proper behavior. Right? But watch your tone when you're saying it. Right? So, but you don't do this by talking. Nobody wants anyone who keeps nagging. People stop hearing your voice when you keep on talking, when you've talked a lot. So action is where it is. They're not going to forget that. And it gives them the opportunity now to decide, oh, I have looked at this thing and I've reflected on it. And yeah, I see where I'm making a mistake and I have to make an adjustment. I actually want to change things. So it's action. You're not doing these things for tactics. You're taking action that will place you both and your relationship in the right position. So open up your life and open up your world. This will be my own advice, my own message for my children. Open up your world so that someone doesn't get comfortable in there feeling that they can just do whatever they want. They'll throw whatever at you and then you just sit there because you feel like you don't have anyone else. And the more time you spend with other people, the more they're treating you differently, the more you know that what this person is giving is not meeting up. And they'll know it too. But then you talk less, so you're not nagging. Instead of nagging, just take that step away. And then they find out, oh, why is he not available? Why is she not available? And then you say, I don't like the way you speak to me. I don't like the way you treat me this way. And I've talked to you about it. And since you won't stop, I'm taking myself out because I cannot control you. Right? But if you stay and you keep on talking, not only does no one like it now, they start pushing back and they start defending what they're doing. Maybe they're not even listening at all because you've talked so much. They can't even hear you anymore when you're talking. You're talking, but they can't even hear you. They're not paying attention when you're complaining. Especially when they know that you're going to be there anyway. There's no reason to stop. But when you step away, there's a loud silence. There's a loud silence, which forces people to introspect and to be reflective on their behavior. Same thing with us. So that when you are coming back, if you're coming back, you're not coming back as someone who is now convinced by myself, oh, I see it now. I actually see what was wrong with what I was doing before. And I really don't want this person out of my life. So they get to make the choice. And there is nothing better than when you make a choice by yourself, when someone makes a choice by themselves. And that's it. So going forward, I'll be reading the messages that I have. Like I remember I told you the last time that I have over 65 messages. I have so many messages. I cannot wait for you to see so that we can all learn from other people's experiences. We're going to start the live so that we can start having the live questions and answers and share experiences together, because when you're with people that you're sharing things that are similar to your own experiences, it strengthens your understanding of the concepts and your own resolve to do better for yourself as well, because you see other people taking the steps and you're seeing the things that are working in their lives. Okay? Bye-bye.